Yeah, man. Once again, it's your boy Shaun Q back in the building. My partner, as always,
J. Roman.
Yes, and together we are
OSP.
Holla at him, Jay.
What if I told you we had Samuel L. Jackson on this episode with us?
Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson?
Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson. I think you're just trying to make me cuss. Because I do like to cuss. Anyway, would that surprise you?
Would it surprise me if you had Samuel L. Jackson on this episode?
Yeah, what if I was about to have him walk through the door?
That would surprise the shit out of me.
It would surprise me too. He's not here.
Yeah, he ain't coming.
Well, that's the point of this episode.
The point of this episode is cameos. When we were coming up, a cameo was a big deal. Not just a singer, not Mr. Word Up, come on, baby, tell me what the word. Not just that dude, who's a big deal. But we're talking about the cameos in music and in TV shows and in movies. It was a big deal when a celebrity or a guest star would pop up on something they weren't supposed to be on. It was a big deal.
It seems today that cameos are not only lacking in shock and awe, but they are expected.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of right.
Yeah, people are kind of expecting it now. So what we're going to do today is we're going to chop it up about some cameos that shocked us and had us in awe. And some that, if you haven't seen, should still shock you. So what we did was we took in some requests from some of our listeners who we appreciate and support. And we have this list. We're going to go down the list and see if some of them, if you remember some of them. And some you haven't seen, you can go look them up. All right? So I am going to drum roll and let you take anything on the list and we'll chop it up.
Oh, you know what? What I really like is what I'm looking at here. Dolomite on the Busta Rhymes album when Disaster Strikes and Genesis.
Yes.
Now, correct me. Genesis the album, or was there a song on When Disaster Strikes? Because Genesis the album is one of my all-time favorites.
Okay, and the intro to both of those. First of all, as a huge Busta Rhymes fan, I like. I was, believe it or not, because I had a dirty mouth when I was a kid. I like Dolomite.
You did? You had a dirty mouth?
Get the fuck out of here!
You like Dolomite?
I love Dolomite. I used to listen. I could listen to more Dolomite poetry than I could Shakespeare.
And, I mean, who can't though?
I mean, a lot of people would rather hear Shakespeare than Dolomite. I don't like those people, but whatever, to each his own. But Dolomite doing poetry to me was some of the funniest shit. Even a lot of it I didn't get because I was a kid. I listened to it now and I'm like, wow, that was disgustingly hilarious. And so for him to be on the Busta Rhymes album was it was perfect for me. It was like a perfect match. And each time it was like, all right, young Busta, we got to get up in there and, slap these motherfuckers in the mouth. And it was oh man, it was beautiful. It was so positive. I'm like, oh, all right, man, let's go make an album.
See, for me, when those started coming out, that's when CDs really started hitting, right?
Yeah.
So I lost touch with a lot of cameos that were in records and albums, stuff like that, because when I bought tapes and I bought the CDs, I would read the liner notes and all that stuff. That particular album, I actually didn't get till way later. I had The Coming, but I listened to that one, over and over and over before I ever got When Disaster Strikes. Plus, everyone was playing When Disaster Strikes, so I didn't need to buy it myself.
Right.
So I never got to look at who was actually on there.
I don't even know that it said he was. That's why I consider it a cameo. I don't even know that it said he was on there.
It may not have.
It just said intro. And so he came back on the Genesis album, and you hear Rampage, do the intro, Genesis when, just like with the first one, When Disaster Strikes, and then it goes on, and you hear Dolomite, oh, young Busta. Album number 2.
Okay, he was like, realize that.
Yeah, he was like, I'm back. Last time I talked to you was a long time ago. So yeah, he came back. I thought it was pretty dope.
See, I forget those connections. You told me about one recently, and I was like, oh damn, they totally did connect that, and I completely lost it because it was so off, and as far as distance and time of album to album.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, the Eminem one, as a matter of fact. You told me the connection of the robbery.
Yeah.
I just, in my brain, it was just a different robbery. It wasn't the same continuation from Criminal, which is super dope. One of those songs at the end of the album that most people actually don't even know.
Yeah. When he said, just put the fucking money in the bag, I'm not going to shoot you. Just put the money in the bag, I'm not going to shoot you. Thank you. And so when it starts on Marshall Mathers 2, it's from him running outside the store. Yes. Yeah, that was a good connect. I remember that one. I like that. The little thing. You know me. I like the little thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick one that connects to another one. Now, a lot of people, if you don't know me, I'm from Chicago. I'm a Bears fan. So there's certain people I just don't like. I just don't like you.
And there's a couple here.
Yeah, there's 2 that I'm going to connect right now. So I'm going to start with the shitty one first. I'm going to go with punk-ass Aaron Rodgers on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how whack this was. Because it was not, it was considered a cameo. Because, Ed Sheeran was on or whatever. Yeah. It was a big deal. But the hype for it killed the episode. because we're in a time now where because of like YouTube and social media and streaming, it's hard to hide anything.
Yes.
It's hard to have a special guest or a cameo of anything because we know about it before it happens. So the hype about Aaron fucking Rodgers being on Game of Thrones killed the fact that when he was there, he's on screen for a quick second and they burn him up. Yeah. Which I love that he died. Because it won't be the last time this year he gets burnt up. Oh, shout out to that Bears defense. That's what I'm talking about. So I didn't like that. Now, on that same path of not liking that fucking cheesehead, we go back to when you watched this movie that was on in your house the other day, man. I forget. I'm watching There's Something About Mary. And I'm laughing. I'm like, oh man, Chris Elliott's hilarious. Ben Stiller and Cameron Diaz was still hot.
Or the
and then fucking Brett, of course, is that Brett. Brett fucking Favre. If you have lived in Chicago or you are aware of Chicago's existence, you know how we feel about Brett Favre in Chicago. Whether it's in a Vikings jersey, a Packers jersey, a Jets jersey, AARP commercial, I don't give a fuck.
I thought you guys loved the Gunslinger.
Oh my God. The Wrangler jeans, fuck that dude. So I remember seeing that movie when it first came out, and I'm into it the whole movie. And when he came in, I was like, that's the fucking Brett. This movie's trash. Like, I hated the whole movie, which is such a good movie, but I hated the whole thing because of his face. His face made me hate it. The episode of Game of Thrones, which was so impactful, the mother of dragons lost her mind. I'm like, oh God. Well, at least she killed Aaron Rodgers. That's cool. I was a bigger fan of it.
I think you need some Green Bay therapy.
Man. Shout out to Rusty Kive, who always rubs when the Packers do anything good in my fucking face. Shout out to him. We got a better record, whatever. So Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, those two count as cameos. They weren't expected to be there. True. Even though Aaron Rodgers kind of was because the hype was killed.
Yeah, you can't cameo anything these days. I don't even watch previews past the very first one. That is like a year or two before the movie comes out. Yeah. Because I'm so tired of knowing so much of what's going on. And I even get off social media. If it's something I really, really want to see, like Avengers, Endgame, whatever. Yeah. I went off social media a couple days before because I don't want those cameos ruined. I want to be surprised if so and so walks up and all of a sudden they're this character. I want to know it. I don't want to know this ahead of time.
I had one brought to my attention that I guess counts as a cameo, but I didn't know about it because I haven't seen it yet. It kind of killed it for me. And have you seen Solo?
Solo. Yeah, but I have not paid enough attention. I watched it and I just didn't.
I have it on my queue. I haven't watched it yet, but when I asked the listeners, like, hey, give me a good cameo, somebody said Darth Maul in Solo.
Yes.
I didn't know he was in it, and now I want to see it more.
Okay, so he's not okay, maybe I shouldn't say how he's in it then.
Don't tell me he's in it.
Okay.
In fact, let's talk about something else.
All right, let's talk about something else. But he wasn't, and that was a surprise to me because I did not watch previews for Solo because I thought I was going to see it in theaters, and then I missed it. So I watched it on Netflix, and yes, he is in there.
Okay.
Not as you expected.
It doesn't matter, but I know I was told he's in it, so now I want to see it. But that is it's kind of like a hidden cameo because a lot of people didn't expect him to be in it.
True.
So I'll take that one. They kind of hit that one, but it was kind of it's putting a character that's in the same universe in the story. You know what I mean? A cameo would have been to have like James Earl Jones's face in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because we've seen Darth Vader and a bunch of shit. We've seen his voice, but to have his face there, that would be considered a shocking cameo to me.
True.
So, and they didn't do that.
Where would they put his face?
Anywhere. They could have put him in a bar. They could have put him anywhere. You know what I mean?
True.
Since we all saw, when he unveiled him, he was a white guy. You're like, that's not fucking James Earl Jones. Nigga, I saw Othello. That's not fucking Othello. So, that was one I got to check out is Solo. Pick another one.
Word. Okay, so I really, 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 really love this one. Eddie Murphy and Magic Johnson in Remember the Time.
Yes.
Now,
Michael Jackson's Remember the Time.
Tell me about it.
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Go on.
We're going to get that stuck in a few people's heads.
Yeah.
So, when those videos and that album was coming, I don't remember how it was before because when that album came out, there wasn't a lot going on with him as far as how many years, or there was a few years in between albums. It was an event.
Yeah.
They announced what time those videos were going to air for the very first time.
Yeah.
Pre-internet, pre-YouTube, pre-cell phones. So nobody saw it until it aired at whatever, 8:25.
It was like 8:25
Wednesday,
on Fox, Wednesday night.
Right after Simpsons or something like that. And then, bam, here comes Remember the Time.
All-new Michael Jackson music
and
video.
Who do you see in it? Eddie Murphy.
Iman.
Magic Johnson.
Yeah,
Iman. Oh, my gosh. It was an event.
Yeah,
it was something
Bowie's
else.
Wife. Yeah, like everybody's in that, and it was That's the thing. I think Thriller is what did that because his videos were such a big deal. They got to the point where they were like, all right, this dude's not making music videos. He's making short films.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So they did the same thing with Bad. Remember when they did Bad, it was black. It was directed by Martin Scorsese, which was fucking insane, right? And it's black and white. And you see Wesley Snipes, you're like, yo, what the fuck are we watching? Why is Michael Jackson on the bus? Like, what? It was. They were all events. Yeah. And remember, the time was a big one. I remember we all went to school the next.
Do you remember what else came out? Remember the time? The next video that aired right after was controversy. I think that's pretty
was
sure
it
that's
black or white?
Yeah,
it was black or white.
That's the same slot right there.
Is it?
If I'm correct, they showed it at the same time, or that was just another freaking event.
It was another event
because I just remember the time was so dope.
Yeah,
with Magic and Murphy and all that. And then Black and White, just all this controversy.
I think Black and White was a little bit later.
Okay, maybe because I was so young, I lumped them together. It's this amazing thing to me.
Dude, they gave us time. I remember going to school the next day. I was like, yo, did you see Eddie Murphy with that? Yeah, this nigga disappeared when... That's all we talked about.
You know me, Magic Johnson fan.
Yeah, that was a great video. And I remember kids just could not stop. That was a big event. That was a big cameo. Yeah. Because you had the biggest star in the world putting out short films on primetime TV. Like, nobody does that shit.
And if you missed it, you had to wait till it popped up on MTV whenever it did after.
And if you missed it, you were at school the next day, everybody knew who didn't have a TV in their household. It's like, oh, you didn't remember the time last night? Oh, that's right. So you don't know where your daddy is either. I'm just serious. That was a good one. Let's get, you know what? So our producer Veltria mentioned one to me, and I kind of count this show as different. She mentioned Snoop was on Law and Order SVU.
Of course she did.
Now the reason, because that's all she watches. The reason why I don't count anything that happens on SVU is because since the dawn of time, when Law and Order started 113 years ago, they've always had a special guest. And somebody, I think it was, I don't remember who made the joke. It was like, you can always tell who the bad guy is going to be because it's like, and special guest, Edward James Olmos. Like, all right, well, he's a murderer. Like you. So to see a special guest on Law and Order SVU is not a surprise to me. It's not a cameo. It's not a big deal. They've gotten used to it. It's kind of their thing. She did talk about one though that kind of surprised her. She said she saw one with Jill Scott, and this is kind of before people knew that Jill Scott. SVU, right? Yeah, this is before people knew Jill Scott had acting chops, and so she was on there and she didn't sing a song. She said she was like an abusive older sister or something like that. Like she would beat her sister with like a sock full of some shit. And her sister was like quadriplegic. I never saw it, but she's telling me about it today. I was like, damn. She said Jill Scott was an asshole in this and it was perfect. So that, I mean, it's not a cameo, but it's still a great performance by it. It's unexpected. You would expect to see.
Guest star.
You would expect to see soul singing superstar Jill Scott. I mean, now you do because she's done so many movies and TV shows. But at that time, it was a big deal.
I mean, I guess I couldn't see her as an abuser.
Right.
Jill Scott's tough, though. She is from Philly.
She is. But to say, I mean, like, they have her, like, beating up her quadriplegic sister, which...
How dare you, Jill Scott?
Which sounds awesome to me, Jill Scott. Do it. Do what you got to do to get paid.
He did not say that on the air.
I didn't. Not like that. I mean, if it's good acting, do it. I'm sure she read the script. She's like, oh, I could never in a million years do that. You're like, here's a check. I'm about to beat that bitch with a bat. She changed her mind real quick.
Money changes everything.
Money, it really does. So let's talk about some songs. We were talking about the Busta Rhymes album. Mm-hmm. There's a moment in history that sticks out to me, and Raphael Sadiq stole my moment. Everybody who knows me knows I've had a fleeting music career. And so I had this thing that happened on Stevie Wonder's Do I Do. He had a special guest, and the special guest was a trumpet solo by Dizzy Gillespie. Now, Dizzy Gillespie is a jazz legend, right?
I have his CDs.
Jazz legend. So he goes, and I remember the phrasing exactly. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to present on my album, Mr. Dizzy Gillespie, Blow. And so Dizzy blows one of the greatest solos on the whole album. He kills it. So fast forward to about, let's call it like 4 or 5 years ago, Raphael Sadiq put out an album.
One of the best.
One of the best, who I heard is working on, is putting Tony back together.
Have you seen him live?
Yeah.
Okay, so live is amazing.
He kills it. Oh yeah, huge fan. I covered Let's Take a Walk in my last show. Mm-hmm. So he did he has his last album and he says, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to present on my album, Mr. Stevie Wonder, Blow, and Stevie played the harmonica, and I was like, that was fucking perfect. That was a perfect cameo. It was set up like 30 years later, word for word, and it came, and it was a great harmonica solo. I'm like, man, Raphael Sadiq.
You know what's great about that? It's like, that's an homage. That's an homage to your own past, your own history.
Oh, yeah.
Bring it to the forefront he used the line from his previous generations, one of the greatest, and he brought one of his greatest from his earlier generation.
Yep.
And it just goes down the line.
It all worked perfectly.
It's amazing.
It lined up perfectly, and you know me, I'm a huge fan of paying tribute and paying homages to people who inspired me to do certain shit, and that I thought was one of the best cameos ever. Just the way he set it up, I thought it was perfect. So let's take a break real quick. Let's pay some bills.
You got it.
The lights are flickering, so we got to pay for some light. We got to pay the light bill. We're gonna go away. We'll be back. Don't go nowhere. Keep your ears open. All right, go. And we back.
Yeah.
We are going down the list of cameos sent in by the listeners. Cameos that shook us, that were awesome to us, that blew our minds, that were like unexpected but still kind of influential on us. So we're gonna go down this list, and I'm gonna shoot it to Jay Roman. Jay, give me another one.
Man, there's one blowing my mind right now that I had no clue. I hope I put it. I got this. I'm gonna come right back to Michael Jackson. Ooh. Eddie Van Halen.
Okay.
Playing solo in Beat It. Yo. There's a long lost picture of me in a Beat It t-shirt.
Oh, of course.
Okay. Beat It was one of my favorite songs growing up. I was 4 or 5, whatever time I was when it came out. I was dancing to it at school. I would sing it. I had the shirt. Michael Jackson was my idol at that time.
Of course.
So to now think Eddie Van Halen was playing solo in it, but wasn't seen because he wasn't allowed for some reason.
Yeah.
Which we can kind of figure that out. But
yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah. Shout out to Jameis Ivine from IQ Productions. He put that on to me. He was like, look, what about the Eddie Van Halen solo in Beat It? And I was like, fuck, that's right. I forgot about
Blowing my mind.
And it was one of the biggest rock pop crossovers of all time. And people were asking, like, who is that shredding the shit out of that guitar on Beat It? And when they found out it was Van Halen, they're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And I don't know if it was like a studio thing or a production thing or whatever it was, but he wasn't allowed to be in the video. He wanted to be in the video. He couldn't. So only a few people actually knew that was him shredding the fuck out of that guitar. Nice. So that is one of the ultimate cameos. And I mean, if you go back in time, there's a lot of people who weren't established yet, who were doing background and playing instruments. Like Eric Clapton played guitar on As My Guitar Gently Weeps for the Beatles. Shit like that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's true. You know, if you look at all those notes and you go into the history, you'll see a lot of that stuff because, you know, it just, when it comes to a band and when it comes to artists as up there as Michael Jackson, you want to grab little pieces of the best.
Right.
And you work with them throughout here and there.
Everybody wants to work with that artist. People are drawn to them. And here's what's funny. These are like cameos. Like Eddie Van Halen on Beat It was a perfect cameo. It was kind of secretive, but it was somebody who was already established, and it was somebody who was a big deal, who just came in, laid down a beautiful version of something, and then bounced. It wasn't like he was a young up-and-comer. He was a nobody. He was already a big deal. The difference now is on the radio and now in music, there's no cameos because everything's a collaboration.
True.
And because everybody is with the same like 5 studios, it's like, all right, cool. So Cardi B, you're a big deal. All right, we're gonna put you on the track with all Amigos, and we know you and Nicki Minaj don't like each other, but y'all are gonna be on the track.
And then throw Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, we're gonna put Drake and then Ed Sheeran, and for no reason at all, Andrea Bocelli is gonna come and sing me out.
Yes.
What the fuck? So there are no cameos in music now. Everything's talked about. Everything's collaborations, and everybody wants to get their cut. Everybody wants to get their recognition. So everybody has to be like, hey, I was on that too. Hey, that was me. I did that. There's no behind the scenes shit anymore. Nobody could do what Eddie Van Halen did with Michael Jackson.
Very true.
You wouldn't be able to.
You know, that kind of makes me think. It makes me think 2 things. One, how many, Van Halen fans out there, when they heard that, thought, you know what? This is Van Halen's style. I wonder if that's him. And then maybe looked it up. Or it just came out later and like, oh, damn, that makes sense. That sounds like him. Also, it also makes me think about, just like you said, the collaborations these days, it's probably a big reason why some artists, which granted you have to be pretty established, are dropping these secret albums.
Yeah.
Midnight drop.
Yeah.
No one knew it was even coming.
Yeah.
Beyonce did it, I think, first.
Yeah.
From what I recognize,
I believe she did.
At least with the streaming services these days or the online purchases.
Right.
And then, bam, this album's out. All these features on it that no one knew even an album was coming.
Right.
So maybe it's now a reverse where they're doing that now.
Well, you kind
of giving them their. But Beyonce's huge though.
She's
worldwide megastar.
Well, you have to look at it this way. It went from people putting out full albums to about 10, maybe 15 years ago, it was just singles.
Yeah.
People weren't putting out whole albums.
Yeah.
They were just putting out singles after single after single.
And then they put them together.
So, yeah. And so now somebody like Beyonce to put out a whole album again, it's like, oh, that's right. People do make more than one fucking song.
Yeah, but she's been putting out albums.
No, she has, but singles have been the thing. Like,
yes.
oh, you got a single. You're hot right now. All right, we're going to put you everywhere. What's your name? Blue whatever. All right, Blueface, which is the dumbest name in radio to me right now. Hey, Blueface. They should have just called that nigga Blackface. Hey, Blackface, come here. We like your song about Tatiana. Oprah was dancing to it. Now you're going to be on this with Cardi B. You're going to be on this with Nicki Minaj. You're going to be on this with Drake. You're going to be on this with Chris Brown. Go, Blackface. Go get him. Dance, boy. Get the fucking tap dance. And they just do it. So for somebody to put out a whole album, a secret album, I like shit like that. That's as close as we can get to a Cameo now. It's like, oh shit, secret album, that shit just dropped. Yeah. Where we go. Nobody was expecting that. Cool. Yeah. I didn't know they were in the studio together. So it's more like a whole album thing. Sure. But Cameos, you just mentioned one to me on the side, which was one of the biggest. I guess it would be like the first hip hop cameo, wouldn't it?
No, actually, I don't know if it's the first. Maybe, but it's definitely the biggest.
The biggest. The first big hip hop cameo.
Yeah.
Let's do that. First big hip hop cameo is what?
I mean,
ow! Those are the lovers in the bag on the cover.
I mean, Walk This Way sets the bar.
Yeah, absolutely.
It broke the barriers. It tore down the wall like they do in the video.
Yeah. That was a representation of what they did.
That was a surprise for the world.
Yeah.
Aerosmith's worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
Run DMC's coming up.
Yep.
Hip hop itself is coming up.
Yep.
And then you have these two collaborating.
Ooh,
I mean, come on.
Huge fucking deal. It was a huge fucking deal.
And the soul that Aerosmith has put out in their music over the decades really translates to that song in a way that you never heard. You never heard put together the way the beat was put together, the way they put it all together with the rhyming and the rock. It was unbelievable. And to this day, you play that song and people go nuts.
Oh yeah, as they should, because it holds a spot in everybody's heart. Everybody remembers some kind of Walk This Way moment where they heard it, or they remember the Adidas, or they remember the wall breaking down, the commercials that came from it, the things that have happened since. I saw a thing where they were talking to Steven Tyler, and he said, they had the song was old or whatever, and then he heard these guys just mixing up his record, and he goes, why are they scratching it like that?
Yeah.
Why are they scratching my shit up? And he heard what they did, and he was like, oh, that's beautiful. I got to get in on this.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of, fast forward, he's thinking, I'm Steven Tyler. Here's when he got humbled. And it's so fucking stupid. He's like, I'm a big deal in the hip hop community. So Eminem is young and stupid, right? That's the bet. That's how he says it now. He's young and stupid. He's hanging out with his good friend, Kid Rock. Eminem had just recorded Dream On.
Okay.
Where he writes his whole thing and they do the Dream On in the back. And he's at a party. Kid Rock is with him.
I remember the story.
And Steven Tyler was like, hey, man, I heard you doing Dream On. If you want, I can come to the studio and record. And Eminem was like, no, I'm good. I like the original. And they said Kid Rock just fucking stared at him like, you fucking idiot. So now
denied Steven Tyler to come do the song.
Not only does Steven Tyler feel like, well, shit, I guess I ain't shit in hip hop anymore. But now Eminem, years later, is like, that was one of my dumbest moves. I probably wish I could go back.
Yeah?
Yeah, because you had Steven Tyler offer to do an original version for
Eminem was being cocky.
You were being cocky. Nah, man, I like the original. Who the fuck? Now, if Steven Tyler had been like Lil Richard or somebody who was cocky and black, and like, yo, who the fuck you think you talking to? You gonna turn me down? You
should have slapped him.
He should have slapped him. You know what the fuck I am? Yow! Like, hey, bitch! He should have snapped on him. He should have. You think I'm gonna talk to you again? You can dream on. Fucking nice. Oh my god, I like that. So I'm gonna hit the TV one that everybody in our generation is aware of, whether you saw it or not. Doesn't matter. You heard about it because it was a big deal. We're once again going back to now. The reason why we keep mentioning Michael Jackson is because I need people to realize this. There's a lot of young people who don't understand. Michael Jackson, at one point for a long time, was the biggest star in the world. Not in America, not in a couple of countries, not online, not in his own hood. In the world. There was nowhere in the world that this man could not go and get recognized. I'm talking about one of the first people to have to shut down Disneyland just to fucking walk around so he wouldn't get mauled. So he keeps coming up in cameos because anytime he did something, it was a fucking event.
Yeah.
Whether it's hanging his baby from a balcony, showing up to somewhere he's not supposed to be, getting out and dancing on top of a limo, it was a big deal. Yeah. This is the biggest star in the world. So one of the things he did, everybody who knew Mike said he's a big fan of like horror movies and cartoons. So when Michael Jackson was on an episode of The Simpsons,
Nice.
They had to go through so many loops to hide the fact that it was Michael Jackson on The Simpsons. I mean, like he had...
you mean like at the set or something?
Oh, I mean, like he had an alias. If you look, it doesn't say his name on the episode.
That makes so much sense because they didn't have like they do now. Like if you and I wanted to record separately, we could record across the country from each other, and it sounds just
right. We just somebody puts together, an engineer puts together. No, you had to go into the studio. So Michael Jackson had to be like escorted into the studio to record for The Simpsons. At the end credit, when all of us know it's Michael Jackson, it says guest starring like Shaun J. Smith, which was like his alias.
Interesting.
So whenever he checks in somewhere, he put his fucking alias. And so the reason why he did the show is because they were going to do a Michael Jackson impersonator.
Okay.
And he said, well, what are they going to do? And he goes, well, it's like Homer's in a crazy home, and there's a guy who's a white guy, obviously, who thinks he's Michael Jackson, and he writes this song for Lisa, and Mike's like, well, let me hear the song. And it was the impersonator doing the, Lisa, it's your birthday. Yeah. And so he was like, keep the song and I'll do the rest of it. And you're like, what the fuck?
So then, okay, then why didn't they just put his name on there? Why didn't he say, okay, my name on there?
Because there was a whole thing with like his brothers or whatever. I guess he wasn't, it was something he said between him and his brothers. Okay. And so he's like, I'll do it, but keep the song on there and just don't tell my brothers about it. Like, don't let them know. Okay. Right? I don't know what deal they had.
I wasn't together at that point.
They weren't, but they were probably still trying to sue him for some shit. I don't know. Or they would make fun of him for doing a cartoon. It seems like they made fun of him.
That's ridiculous.
Now they're greasy looking, like, they look terrible, by the way.
Calm it down, man.
I'm saying,
talking about the Jackson 5.
I'm talking about the Jackson 4, and they look like Sharpies walking around. It looks like they take Sharpies and like. Anyway, that's so awesome. They're awful. They should stop. So it was a big deal that Michael Jackson was on The Simpsons, and it was huge.
Yeah,
but it was so huge. But that to me is like that's like the ultimate cameo. You got the biggest star in the world on a cartoon that everybody's watching at night. We were allowed to stay up late to watch it because Michael Jackson was on. And it was on like that, like you said, the same time when his videos were coming out. So you're like, it's not a video, but it's still Michael Jackson, so you can stay up and watch it. Like, yes. Big deal. Michael Jackson on The Simpsons. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a really good episode.
I want you to stay with the movies. I like this one because there's a lot of good ones I'm seeing on here. I'm not sure who sent you these, but
this is a lot of people, I can tell you.
Vanilla Ice and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. I don't remember if that was announced, but for some reason I feel like I knew it before I saw it.
Here, I can explain that perfectly. If you think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the first thing that comes to your mind, and if you say it's not, you're full of shit. It hurts my soul.
Is Go Ninja Go?
Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go.
I don't know the actual name of the song.
It doesn't matter. Nobody has to. That was the biggest part of the movie. That was the biggest part of the movie. That was the biggest cameo.
Oh, and they fought on stage. That's right.
Yeah, because Vanilla Ice was a big star at the time. Yeah. And to have him in there, and he wrote a song for the movie, and it wasn't like for the soundtrack like people have been doing for years. It was in the movie, and it was so stupid and so fucking catchy that all people could take from that movie was Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go.
True.
It was such a big deal. It was like, oh, fuck, that's right. I forgot Vanilla Ice was in there. And he had that terrible-ass dance. Everybody was doing that dance at school the next day. And it was just that. It's a cameo. It was a great fucking cameo in a movie that a lot of kids were watching. So Vanilla Ice's career extended another like 3 months because of that. Until fucking Rip Van Winkle, whatever his name is, showed up. It was terrible. But yeah, I remember that one. That was a big deal. Give me another one.
I like the Matt Damon in Thor Ragnarok, and actually another Marvel movie, so not MCU.
Matt Damon is one of them. Him and Ben Affleck are like, they love popping up in movies. And Matt Damon does it a lot. So Matt Damon in Thor Ragnarok, remember he played, was he Thor? I mean, he was Odin.
Was he Thor?
Not Thor, he was Odin. He was Thor. I don't remember which one he was. They were doing the acting when Thor got there. And they were acting out.
Yeah. Okay.
So Matt Damon was there. I don't remember which. I think he was either. I think he might have.
He was.
No. That's right. He played Odin, and Thor's brother in real life, Liam Hemsworth, played Thor.
Yes.
Baby Thor played Thor. So it was fucking hilarious. Those count as cameos. So that was a surprise in that it's hard to hide anything, but if anybody could do it, it's Disney and the MCU. So
true.
They did it pretty well. But in as far with Sylvester Stallone and stuff. But with Deadpool 2, there are 2 huge cameos. I guess you can say 3. And I forget the guy's name. He's in a lot. Alan Tudyk. So the scene where Cable pops up and there's 2 farmers talking on a truck.
Okay.
Those 2 farmers are Alan Tudyk, who's been in a lot of shit.
Okay.
And Matt Damon. Matt Damon's the one doing all the talking. And so he's like the big fat redneck, and Cable comes up and takes all this shit.
Okay.
That's Matt Damon.
Oh,
but the even bigger cameo in that is when the invisible member of X-Force gets caught in the electricity, and you finally see his face, and it's fucking Brad Pitt.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I've never known that.
Yes. Yes, I can find it.
I'm looking it up right now. You can look it up.
Okay, if you look in that scene where the X-Force is all dying terribly when they're trying to go stop Cable, the one who gets electrocuted in that wire, he hits the electrical wires, is fucking Brad Pitt's face. That means Brad Pitt had to come in and go in a fucking studio.
I'm looking at it right here. I never realized that.
That is to me the biggest cameo in the MCU because Brad Pitt is a huge fucking star.
Yeah, they're showing it right here. The Vanisher.
Yeah, that's right. He was Vanisher.
I suck at these things.
He was a Vanisher. Yes. And that was
it's so much better now.
I love that. I was like, wait a minute. I saw it in the movie too. I was like, I swear to God, that was Brad Pitt. I stayed after and watched the credits just to see if I was going to stay anyway, but I looked and I was like, oh my God, it says right there. That was Brad Pitt. That's it. He was Vanisher. And all you see is him get electrocuted. That's him going in the studio. That's it. Thanks, Brad. You guys anything else? No, we're good.
I wonder how much you got paid for just that.
Movie.
So ridiculous.
Right? It's such a big deal. Okay. On music, there are a few of them. There's one that I like to talk about that a lot of people don't know about. So I'm a big fan of B.O.B. B.O.B. is a big fan of, obviously he named himself after Outkast.
I am so tripping right now because when you said B.O.B., all I thought was Outkast.
Yeah.
I forgot B.O.B. was his own
person. His name is Bobby Ray, and he named himself B.O.B. And he's a great lyricist, great musician, just a good overall entertainer. And I got his album, and on his album, he has a song called Bombs Away, and it starts the album. And this is what it sounds like when he starts the album. I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to try to act like we're not listening to these ads. Thanks a lot, YouTube. Appreciate it. All right, this is what it sounds like when it starts. Tell me who this is. You know who it is. You can read it. This is how this album starts. Strange Clouds is the name of the album. This is B.O.B. And he goes. That's motherfucking Morgan Freeman.
Yep.
In my mind, you made it when Morgan Freeman does the intro to your album.
Oh, yeah.
You are somebody. Or at least Morgan Freeman thinks you're somebody. And that's
somebody enough to give you time on the album.
They said they asked Morgan Freeman as a joke in passing, would you like to be on the B album? He goes, yeah, I like him. I'll do it. And then he fucking did it. Nice. It's a huge deal, man. That's Morgan Freeman. That's like the voice of our generation. That's God, man. That's Morgan Freeman. He did the intro and the outro on that song, and I thought it was dope as fuck.
It helps that he played God.
That's why I called him God.
And President. God and President.
Yeah, President God. God, we know his name. President Black God. So there's older ones that would happen, like SNL. I know SNL is it's a sketch show. It's been around since the 70s, and they always have a guest star. But every once in a while, they would have a cameo that was talked about for a long time after. Like I remember, like SNL being out so long, there's 2 cameos that happened that weren't expected really. Where the people who were there weren't supposed to be there. They just kind of popped up because SNL was a big show, and it still is in New York. So if you're in town, it's one of those, I'll pop up and be on live TV.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So there's one, Mike Myers used to have a show where him and the girls would sit around and talk about Barbra Streisand all the time.
Of course.
And there's one with him and I forget the other chick and Madonna. Madonna's the guest. And so while they're talking, Barbra Streisand fucking shows up.
Nice.
And at this point, Barbra Streisand had been like disappeared. She disappeared from the world. Like nobody knew where the fuck she was, what she was doing.
That lady knows how to take vacation.
Yeah, she was big enough to be like, I'm going to take maybe 15 years off. I'll come back. They'll still fucking love me. And she did it. So she popped up and everybody lost their shit. Like they couldn't even act. Even Madonna, who's a big star in the world, is looking at Barbra Streisand like, I'm going to call you. It's like, don't worry about it. You don't have to. But it was like a big deal. The one that stood out to me was Jim Brewer, and I think it was Stephen Baldwin would do a sketch on there called, it was like the Joe Pesci Show.
Of course.
And the Joe Pesci Show was fucking hilarious because Jim Brewer doing his imitation of Joe Pesci was comedy, and the Baldwin brother would play Robert De Niro. And he would just say, he was like, Bobby, you hear this guy fucking call me this? And you go, I heard things. So there's an episode one time where they're fucking this dude up, and the real Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro show up. And the crowd's losing their mind.
This sounds familiar. I think I made
they still talk about these 2 episodes. They show up, and Joe Pesci is like, "Is that me you're doing? You're not doing me. You're doing a character from a movie you saw me in." And he goes, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Pesci." He's like, "Oh, I'm stupid. This is stupid. I'm sorry. This is stupid." He goes, "Bobby, you hear him call me stupid?" And Robert De Niro and all his genius goes, "I heard things." It was fucking brilliant. It was great writing. It was such a great cameo that to this day, when they talk about like the top 10 SNL episodes, those 2 are in there just because of fucking cameos. Those were big deal cameos that people were talking about. And it also shows that, I wasn't limited to what I watched as a child.
Well, those are nice surprises. Those are, those are when you watch live shows or
Yes.
or skit shows like that. That kind of that builds that memory. So that makes total sense.
Yeah.
How many times you've seen something like that? Or you watch SNL, you don't remember most of them,
Right.
but you're gonna remember that one.
Yeah,
first,
absolutely.
That's perfect.
You remember the cameo ones. Pick another one.
Now, it's going from SNL, the one I like here that I loved when I saw it. I'm a huge fan. Bill Murray and Zombieland.
Yes.
Bill
Murray stole Zombieland.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who the fuck they're gonna get to cameo in part 2. I don't care. They won't compare to what Bill Murray did. Bill Murray as a zombie in Zombieland was perfect.
Yes.
And what Emma Stone says when he's dying is what we all feel like. He just gets me. Like I've been a Bill Murray fan. I mean, SNL, Meatballs. You go. I mean, Caddyshack. I can't tell you if you know somebody who likes comedies that has ever had to snatch a tablecloth off a table and didn't say the flowers are still standing. Everybody has done that. We've all tried to do it, and even if everything fell, the flowers are still standing. Scrooged is my favorite Christmas movie.
Oh my God.
Of all time. Like nothing compares to. I don't care what movie you put out there. Wonderful Life. I don't give a shit. The Grinch. I'm telling you, Scrooge. Even better than the original Ebenezer's Christmas Carol.
Well, original is way different though.
It is different, and it's more common, and it's just Bill Murray, and it's Bill Murray. I was talking to a friend of mine about Bill Murray and his theory about life, and if you watch his movies, he puts his theory about life in a lot of his movies. And his theory is it just doesn't matter, and it's like the Buddhist theory of like the guy who had it's a story about a guy who had a horse, and his neighbor comes over and goes, "Hey neighbor, you got a beautiful horse," and the guy's like, "It just doesn't matter." So then the horse gets into an accident, fucks his leg up. And the guy's like, his neighbor's like, "Oh man, it's fucked up what happened to your horse." The guy goes, "Just doesn't matter." The next day, they come to help the horse. He ends up getting like 3 horses. Things keep happening, good, bad, good, bad. And at the end of the day, the guy's just like, it just doesn't matter. That's why you see Bill Murray pop up at people's houses washing dishes in London. Or you see that, like, have you watched the Bill Murray stories on Netflix that I told you about?
Not enough. Hey, Bill Murray, you want to come over to my house? What have you?
Bill Murray pops up in random places because his theory is it just doesn't matter. Just live life, go have fun. And it's just a dope way to fucking live.
I mean, I guess you can say that when you're rich and famous.
No, you don't have to be rich and famous to live it just doesn't matter theory. Like some of the shit that we stress and some of the stuff we get excited about, a lot of it is it's putting us through stuff that we don't need to go through. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. It's just life, just live it. And that is the most free-spirited person I've ever seen or read about. Is fucking Bill Murray. Bill Murray's the man. And in Zombieland, fucking killed. Killed.
Absolutely.
On movies and pop-ups like that, there is a scene that's real quick that my friend Ben Gonzalez reminded me of, and it was in Talladega Nights, which for some reason a lot of us saw that movie. It was funny, but a lot of us saw it. Like we were like, yeah, I remember that movie. I don't know a lot of people who haven't seen that movie.
I'm looking at this right now, and I'm like, where the hell are these two movies?
So I'm going to show you. Here we go. So Ricky Bobby decides he wants to go to the Frenchman's house, Sacha Baron Cohen. He goes to his house. And when he goes to the house, sitting at the table is Elvis Costello and Mos Def. They are just sitting. I'm going to find it for
again.
Elvis Costello and Mos Def are just sitting at a table outside in this dude's house. And he even says it as they're walking, holding hands into the garden. He goes, "Was that Mos Def and Elvis Costello?" And he goes, "No." But it was fucking them. And they had no lines. They
were just sitting there.
They were just sitting at a table. I think they might have introduced themselves. I'm not sure. Pick another one on the list. I'm going to find that for you.
Let's see. There's actually not too many that we have left on here, except for Chuck Norris in Dodgeball. Does he kick the ball? I mean, no. He is what I've been told by a manager we had a long time ago.
Oh, dear God. I don't want to play this fucking game with you.
A multi-time world champ. I mean, he did have a cameo of Bruce Lee, and apparently he could have actually kicked Bruce Lee.
Shut the fuck up. You know what? Thank you for coming out. God bless you. Good night. Show's over. I'm going to go find whoever that was and punch him in his throat. Are you kidding me?
I'm just saying.
I know, man. And you're saying it because you know I don't like Chuck Norris.
I know.
I don't like Chuck Norris. But yes, Chuck Norris was in Dodgeball. Remember at the end, they had the vote, and the last vote was Chuck Norris giving the thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's all he could do because he was 106. So to even see him in the Expendables was painful to watch. I don't know if you saw him in the Expendables, but it was like they had strings holding up him holding a gun.
Ouch. Nah, man, he's in good shape. He's old, but he's in good shape.
He's 109 years old. So they were holding up strings like they used to do Bob Barker at the end of The Price is Right before he gave it to Drew Carey, where like he couldn't really stand.
You're making
Chuck
it sound like
Norris.
he's like Harrison Ford in Star Wars in episode, what was it, 7?
Was. No,
And
at
like,
least
I could not wait for him to die because I was tired of watching him hobble across the screen.
At least he was walking. Fucking Chuck Norris came out. He's holding a gun. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's, I just murdered the whole town. It's good. It's a good fuck.
You're tripping.
He fell asleep halfway through his lines.
Are you telling me all those those workout commercials are old or something?
Oh, you're talking about what is it nobody has anymore? The Bowflex?
No, not the Bowflex.
What? He didn't do the Bowflex?
No, he has something else. I forget what it's called. Who cares anyway?
It doesn't matter.
Not
Some
the Bowflex.
old I think it was a Bowflex.
It's not a Bowflex.
I think it was a Bowflex. Oh man, you're gonna make me look this up. I think it was a Bowflex. Pete, real quick, you can see this while I'm checking. So, oh my goodness, you and these commercials, YouTube. Yeah, I think it was a Bowflex. Either way, yes, those commercials of him working out are definitely old. He don't get down like that anymore. He probably works out at home in his yard where he gardens while he's holding on for dear life.
Total Gym, that's what it's called.
Oh my God, that's even
Damn,
worse.
these things are expensive. I've never looked them up before.
Hey, look,
there's a cheap one at Walmart.
There he is. There's two girls, which I think one might have been. Look. Do you see the girl?
Let's see here.
Watch.
Okay, I see Farrell.
His stupid face. There's Sasha, which is, he's just hilarious. Talking about the two models.
Okay.
And then the two dudes.
Oh, do they separate? Is that what happens?
Yeah, he's going to go
I
for
haven't
a
seen this one
walk.
in a long time.
It's been a minute. Nobody's seen it for a long time. I mean, I'm sure it's been on TV, but he's going to go for a walk.
This is too much going on here.
Yeah, that's not even the scene.
I'm just going to take your word for it. Next time I watch, I'm going to look for it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, they went for a walk.
Ah, okay.
He goes, was that Elvis Costello and Most Def? No, they're in there anyway. Chuck Norris and Dodgeball. Fucking
shit is gracious.
Okay, so we have. I'm sure there's a lot that we missed. There's one that I just showed you right before we started this, which is a big deal to me.
Yes,
you know I'm a big Donald Glover fan, and I love Childish Gambino. So he is considered a protege of this person that he had at the end of one of his songs on his album. And it was on Royalty. And at the end of the song Real Estate on Royalty, I encourage you all to look up this song called Royalty by Childish Gambino. I'm sorry, the album's called Royalty. The song's called Real Estate. Because at the end, he's making fun of himself and all the down south rappers because he's from Georgia. And he's like, yeah, man, this part of ATL, motherfucker, we from here. That's right, nigga, we from here and there. That's right. You know what? I'm going to go ahead, holla at him, Tina. And then Tina Fey gets on the track and fucking kills it. She is just hilarious. Tina Fey, she goes, that's right, royalty, motherfucker. She
doesn't rap, though.
She doesn't rap. No, she gets on and does her hype man shit, and it's fucking hilarious. She was like, right now is the part where I'm supposed to say the N-word, but I'm not going to do it. I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, it's classic.
Oh, she's awesome. So go check that out. Let us know what you think about it. And let us know, because, I mean, like we said, cameos aren't what they used to be. Cameos used to be a big deal. It was a big deal when somebody popped up on a show. Yeah. Even before our time, like Janet Jackson being on Good Times was a big deal. Yeah. Mr. T being on Different Strokes was a big deal.
Oh, that's right. He was. And then the cartoons.
Yeah, and then, dude, I used to watch the Mr. T cartoon while eating Mr. T cereal.
There you go.
Which was basically Captain Crunch with letters.
Do your thing.
Yeah, I used to get that. So, cameos were a big deal in music, and movies. Based on what the MCU is doing, it's still a big deal in movies, which I like that.
Because the cool thing about MCU is they keep their stuff under wraps.
They do.
They're really, really strict with their actors on it.
They pay a lot of money into a lot of people to make sure that people, shut the fuck up like they're supposed to keep it under wraps. Because like we said, it's borderline impossible to surprise people now. Yeah. Everything is at our disposal. We can grab whatever we want to find out who's going to be where and where they're going to be and what time they're going to be there. Oh, Aaron Rodgers was on set at Game of Thrones. It's not coming out till next year. Way to kill it for me, you stupid football player. Why don't you get your broken ass back on the field so we can hurt you some more?
And also there's a bunch of people out there that just want to be spoilers. They want to be the first one to put this information out so that they can get whatever attention they need. Yeah. I mean, big ups to them who take all that time to waste my time. Stop sending me that garbage.
Right. Because, I mean, it happened. When you try to spoil, some people don't like to be spoiled. Some people, like you and I have this thing, and I do it with a lot of other people too, where if we're talking about a movie or something like that, we'll start with, do you plan on watching it?
Yes.
And I like that. I like when everybody around me does that because I do it, you do it. Mm-hmm. It's like, before I say this, do you plan on seeing it? And if you say yes, then it's like, all right, don't kill it for me. Yeah. You say no, then you're like, all right, cool, I'll tell you what I was going to tell you. Yeah. I like that. And then there's the douches, like the guy who came out and tried to messed up Endgame, and got the shit kicked out of him. He's like, dude, don't ruin it.
Yeah.
I remember that happened with us. Was it up? We went to see Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
Because we were talking about Valkyria's ancestor.
Right.
And that's right. And this dude was like, Ben Affleck never dies. We're like, motherfucker, why would you say that?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Yeah. If you're walking out of a theater of a movie that is hitting that weekend,
and people are in line to watch it,
don't talk about
just
it till you get out,
till you get in the
back
car.
to your car or whatever.
Oh my man! Yeah.
I mean, that guy. I think it was China. Someone correct me on.
Came out to ruin Endgame.
Came out, gave out spoilers, got his ass whooped, and then got arrested.
Right? Because I'm sure the cops was like, "Well, what did he do? He did what? I'll get in the fucking car. What's wrong with you? Just fucking spoil."
I have to read more details, but that's what I first read.
Yeah, that's how you got arrested. Good. Fuck him for being stupid. So don't spoil it for people. But what we did this episode to let you know, if you do see a good cameo, let people know about it. It's fun to be surprised. All right, it's good. People put a lot of work into hiding these people and hiding this story from them. And in today's age, it's hard as shit to do that. It's hard to hide anything. So if somebody takes the time to hide just to surprise you with something, appreciate it. Show some love. Shout out the directors or whoever did it. Let your friends know, like, yo, man, we just saw this. Did you see what's his name in that? Oh, that was a big deal. Because that's why they do it. Yeah. So we like being surprised. I'm sure there's a few that we missed. Probably a lot of them because we've all watched different things. We've listened to different music. So we need you to do us a favor. Go on to Instagram, Old School Perspective, and hit us up after this episode. Let us know what was a cameo that shocked you or was, that put you in awe. Whether it was when you were younger, older, recent, whatever it is, let us know a cameo and what you feel was a good cameo that we could talk about. And we'll talk about it. We're always on there. We're on Twitter on We Are OSP. We're always on there. Hit us up. We'll chat it back with you. I think that's all we got, man.
I got one little thing to add to that. You know, and not just give the shout out and stuff like that, but for those out there who are, you know, they're into all the previews, they're into all the magazines, and they find out every little tidbit. If that's your thing, cool. If it's somewhat your thing, try letting yourself be surprised. Do something a little different. Don't read the articles. Don't cut off the Instagram. Cut off Facebook. Get off the previews. Get off YouTube. Don't let yourself see too much of it and surprise yourself when you get to the theater.
Right.
I tell you right now, I've only seen the short clip of it. You know what I mean? Because I cannot wait to be creeped out as much as possible from start to finish. Right. And that preview was enough. Right. I'm not watching anything else.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard to avoid it.
I'm already trying to avoid it every step I take.
It's going to be hard. That was me with Spider-Man.
Like that.
With Spider-Man, like it's one of those, if you don't see it that first week, I don't like seeing movies till like the Monday after because I don't like crowds. I don't like people. Yeah, I don't like people, yelling in the movie. I remember what did we go see? There was like a Star Wars we went to see where they were doing the beach ball in the theater. It's like, oh, fuck this. I'm never doing this again. But the idea of being surprised, I like it. We're not saying like, have somebody stick a finger in your butt. We're just saying don't be afraid to be surprised. Yeah. Let yourself be open to try new stuff. Be open to be surprised by something. You might like it. See, that sounds like talking about a finger in the butt. Okay,
that's a whole nother episode,
right? Real quick, what, Lil Nas X, what did he do? You want to?
Oh, okay. You know what? Congratulations, Lil Nas X. He now has the longest running top single of all time. What? Think about that, people. All time.
The longest running top single, like the number one longest running.
Something like that. Top single all time. Look it up. Look at who he beat out, and it's only extending further because he went and created a remix with someone from BTS. Huh. I'm not sure if the kid's singing in Korean, but it's not. And now it's called Old Town Soul. That's the remix, as in Seoul, Korea. Got it. So dope, super smart, very intelligent. Shout out to Lil Nas. Keep your pride up, all that stuff. Yeah, do your thing.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
mad love. We're gonna get into a segment later on down the line called "Hey to Congratulate," and that is definitely a congratulate thing.
I mean, it saddens me that he beat out a lot of songs I've liked over the years.
Right.
But man,
records are meant to be broken.
Woo.
Records are meant to be broken.
Big time.
I've only heard the song once. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm a fan of people breaking records and doing stuff that hasn't been done yet, and I like that.
And you know what? Shout out to Billy Ray Cyrus, because he's the one singing on the chorus. So both of them, as a matter of fact, now have technically the longest running top song of all time.
Look, see, he can rub that in his daughter's face. I like that. I think because you're out here twerking, I can't make a hit? Bitch, please. All right, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate the support. Go check us out on Instagram, Old School Perspective. Check us out on Twitter at We Are OSP. Hit us up. Let us know if we missed any cameos. Some, some good ones, some bad ones, whatever. We just want to know about some good cameos. It says Lil Nas X's song Old Town Road, a viral hit made famous in the short form video app TikTok. Oh, they had to throw that in there. broke the record for longest consecutive run in the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Wow, 17 weeks?
Huge.
A 17-week run. That's
Huge.
crazy. That's dope. Congratulations to him, man. Shout out to Lil Nas X. We appreciate you all. Go ahead and hit us up. Support. I don't
Press
know.
play.
Press play, man. Tell you if you like the podcast, and like we said before, we made you laugh. We made you look up some stuff, made you do a little research. Tell somebody. Tell everybody. Tell everybody about what you learned.
Yes.
We appreciate it all. Till next time, I am Shaun Q. Be smart.
I'm Jay Roman. Peace.
Peace.
We out.